from, Rainbow Bright to Pokemon. I would really like, I don't know what the cadence and timing is, but I want to be everywhere. I want kids wearing BeFriends pajamas, and I want people watching those shows on streaming networks.
So which one of those characters most mirrors Minnesota?
Oh, that's a great question.
You got all those characters, you developed them, they're amazingly creative. Which one is Minnesota to you?
Do you know what came to my mind? So I'm going to go with it. Reliable rat.
Reliable rat.
So when I think about the humans that came into my life in the last 20 years that made me fall in love with this city, that's I didn't get to that full part here. I mentioned Mike, others. I have real serendipity. Just a bunch of people I admire, and I think of them as incredibly reliable.
All right, is there anything that you've done in Minnesota that's memorable? Like if you were to get on the plane and somebody was coming here, you said you've got to do this or you've got to do that. I mean, clearly you're really busy at the conference.
The reality is that's one thing that kind of sucks about my interests. My great hobbies are my profession, and I just, I haven't had the luxury in my 10 trips to Minnesota and Twin Cities to not a Twins game, not a Wolves game, like all the things I wish I could do. They've been so operationally hardcore, even this event. I just have not had the luxury. Though I was talking to my dad, we're both getting older. This is life, and I was like, we need to start doing things. I was like, I literally said to him, I was like, hey, if the Jets play well this year and their game in December is meaningful.
So you might come back from the Jets.
Yeah, if the Jets game matters on December 2nd here, I will definitely be in the building. And I said to my dad, why don't we come out a couple days earlier? Let's go do some fishing in the cold. And so
ice fishing?
I don't know if it's I'm not educated enough on what happens December 2nd here if ice fishing's in play.
Yeah.
Well, then it'll be ice fishing.
You'll be ice fishing. Go ahead.
How do you think COVID and the pandemic impacted Web3 and NFTs and sort of that?
I think it's sped up.
Mm-hmm.
Life is about supply and demand, and a lot of human beings weren't doing the things they'd normally be doing. They weren't at bars, they weren't at the ball game, they weren't at the mall, they weren't driving. We were just really cooped up for a long time being fully digital. And I think a lot more people became aware of NFTs. You look at NBA Top Shot, sports cards and collectibles exploded during the pandemic. Then on the back of that you have NBA Top Shot, which was kind of the commercially successful NFT that kind of got things going a little bit. And then that led to conversations on Twitter about historic NFTs, Ethereum-based NFTs, not flow-based NFTs like Top Shot is. And that got the CryptoPunks thing going, and then the cat was out of the bag.
What's your biggest garage sale find? Your big garage sale or your big thrift shop? Or what's the one that go, holy shit, I got this?
I bought over $10,000 worth of playbills from Broadway from 1940 to 1980 for $20.
How many playbills?
That collection probably had 3,000 playbills. I bought 3,000 playbills from the 40s to the 80s at a garage sale in Cranford, New Jersey for $20.
How much you sell them for?
Me and AJ broke down that collection and probably sold at least $7,000-8,000 worth of playbills.
Wow.
And we probably still have in the attic 50% of it.
Jesus.
There was also a Pinocchio 1941 movie, piece. There's also a bunch of Brooklyn Dodgers 1950s game. Apparently it was unbelievable.
Wow. Go ahead.
That is insane. How do you see this conference evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I made a commitment to do 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
The question you just asked is the biggest question I get in Discord. Everybody wants more than that.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're going to really want after this weekend. Right now I'm very focused on the 3 that I'm obligated contractually to do. I feel like I've learned a lot in year 1 and I'm really excited to build on that for year 2. But I'd be lying, and I'll give you the scoop. I definitely find myself really wondering, how am I going to stop after I like this so much, right? I'll just be building momentum, so I'm going to have to think about if I do year 4, 5, 6, and beyond, how I do it. There'll obviously need to be a new structure to why and how, but I'm on the pre-dawn of 1, and I can sense how much I enjoy it.
Are you planning on doing them in a different location this year?
Originally I was 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, I don't want to get the local government's hopes up, so I don't want to bullshit, but I was 100% touring it for a long time. When I started to sense like, oh, South by Southwest vibes, and like, oh, that always is in Austin, like, maybe I don't, so I would say a 5% crack in my thinking has opened of like, maybe I don't need to move this around. So I still lean, obviously based on those numbers, very heavily towards moving it. That's where I'm at right now.
All right, so I follow you on multiple platforms. You spend a lot of time inspiring others. So I have two questions for you, back up to each other. First is, who inspires you and who is your influence, and what words would you give to graduating college and high school people right now?
I love that. My heroes by a country mile are my parents. I just think that that's something that happens when you have my circumstance. But what I find very interesting is the second part of your question on that, which is I find myself very inspired with people that have the makeup of what my parents went through. So I don't get caught up in the Elon Musk and Oprah. I've never attached to that inspiration. Warren Buffett, like I respect and admire people's, accomplishments, but inspired, you show me I'll give you an example. This gets me really going emotionally. The story the story all of us in this room know. Show me an older brother who's 18, who had the unfortunate situation where his father passed, and he has to grow up real fast at 16 and be the father figure for 4 younger siblings and help his mom and quit playing football to work. That stuff gets me so right here. So I'm inspired by people that take very adverse situations and go to lemonade in the face of every one of us when we hear that, being like, oh, that sucks. It takes a huge emotional strength to be that person and to rise above those circumstances. Many of us are so fortunate and don't even realize how fortunate we really are. And so I've never had heroes that like made it. I feel like that just didn't register for me. People who grinded through very challenging circumstances. My mom lost her mom at 5 and is the best mom in the world. That just blows my face off. So anyway, as far as
the backup was just simply what inspiring. What words would you give to?
I would say the biggest mistake 18 to 22-year-olds make is the relationship with time. All of them have easily a decade, to figure out how to make themselves happy and successful, and even that is wildly too young. I don't think at 28 to 32 you should be giving up. I think it's practical to go for it in the first decade of your life post-school, when the world tells you it's now time to get serious and conservative and get a job.
Okay, great. Can we do one more each? Quick?
Yes. Yep,
all right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of Wine Library TV.
Thank
my
you.
dad's a wine collector. How did that experience as one of your first endeavors inform what you're doing now?
Oh, I love you for this question. It's a good one. The day I did Wine Library TV, I remember it like yesterday. I asked somebody in the company to go buy a camera at Best Buy. I sat at my desk. I thought I was about to do QVC. 100%. I'm going to sit and I'm going to sell people these wines. Verte. I remember it like yesterday. Verte Cab, 3 wines. They were great wines. I was very proud to sell them. The camera goes on, and literally throughout my entire body, I got scared, which is very rare for me. And very quickly, I sometimes look at Wine Library TV 1 because I can see the moment. It's within the first 45 seconds. I can see it where I'm like, oh shit, I have to do content. I can't do QVC, I have to do Martha Stewart. And this is why I'm telling you this story. I believe almost everything good that's happened for me in content land is because I've only cared about what's in it for them, not me. Which is insane, because if you think of the concept of QVC, it was a sales engine for our family's business. The seed of me doing it was selfish. The first seconds in it, I went selfless, and I believe the reason that I resonate in a different way is there's never been a piece of content that I've made, unless it's very clear, like, hey, buy my book, or buy, like, 98% of my content, I act as if I'm a public access, how TV started, that I'm here for the public, and that everything that comes out of my mouth is 100% selfless, and I hope this helps somebody do something, and all the things I want for myself will have collateral. I'll stick it in.
Just all right. Just final question is, I'm finding people in my generation's 50s and 60s are having trouble staying relevant right now. Just briefly, what words would you have to that generation?
You're going to live for another 40 years. Stop wrapping it up. I think the 50-60 conversation, because I have a lot of them as well, is completely fundamentally predicated also on people's poor relationship with time. They think they're wrapping up.
Okay.
You know, I'm sorry, I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
I talked to a friend the other day. He's like, Gary, I'm like wrapping up. I'm like, you're 61. I'm like, just explain. Like, I said to him, like, good friend. I was like, explain wrapping up. He's like, well, I'm like, how much longer are you going to work? He's like, 14 years. I'm like, do you know how long 14 years is? I think it's a mentality of thinking that it's wrapping up. It's the wrong perspective. I see it on both sides.
Great message.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I have to